From billion-dollar triumphs to career-ending scandals and faces you forgot even existed. The aftermath is far darker than the jokes ever were. Seinfeld changed television forever. Stay until the end, because the final transformation rewrites how this show is remembered. Jerry Seinfeld as Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld was born on April 29, 1954, in Brooklyn, New York. He was 35 years old when Seinfeld premiered in 1989, starring as a fictionalized version of himself while also co-creating and steering the show's creative direction. Rather than chase reinvention, Seinfeld leaned into familiarity with comedians in cars getting coffee, choosing comfort, authority, and precision over risk. By 2026, Jerry Seinfeld is 72 years old. Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Elaine Benez. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, born on January 13, 1961, in New York City. She was 28 years old when Seinfeld premiered in 1989, playing Elaine Beans, the sharp, independent ex-girlfriend. Yet when the show ended in 1998, the industry quietly waited for her to fail. Louis-Dreyfus revealed she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She continued working through treatment, turning vulnerability into resolve and earning unprecedented critical acclaim along the way. By 2026, at 65, Julia Louis-Dreyfus remains cancer-free and active in the industry. Jason Alexander as George Costanza, born on September 23, 1959, in Newark, New Jersey. Jason Alexander was 30 years old when Seinfeld premiered in 1989, portraying George Costanza, the neurotic, self-sabotaging embodiment of anxiety who would become the show's most painfully relatable character. When the series ended in 1998, the Seinfeld curse hit him hardest. Film roles failed to materialize at scale, and attempts to pivot into leading man territory stalled. Now in 2026, Jason Alexander is 67 years old. He remains active as a director, stage performer, and occasional television presence. Michael Richards as Cosmo Kramer. Michael Richards was born on July 24, 1949, in Culver City, California. He was 40 years old when Seinfeld premiered in 1989, bringing Cosmo Kramer to life as a wordless, physically explosive force that redefined sitcom comedy. After Seinfeld, The Michael Richards Show in 2000 failed almost immediately, signaling how tightly he was bound to a character audiences refused to let go. By 2026, Michael Richards is 76 years old. He lives largely out of the public eye, occasionally reflecting on his mistakes, but never reclaiming his former position. Wayne Knight as Newman. Wayne Knight was born on August 7, 1955, in New York City. He was 34 years old when Seinfeld premiered in 1989, portraying Newman, Jerry's petty, vindictive nemesis. As the years passed, Knight's weight increased dramatically, and his health quietly deteriorated. Doctors eventually warned him he was facing a life-threatening combination of obesity and diabetes. By 2026, Wayne Knight is 71 years old. He has re-emerged with renewed visibility. Estelle Harris as Estelle Costanza. Estelle Harris, born on April 22, 1928, in New York City. She was 61 years old when Seinfeld premiered in 1989, cast as Estelle Costanza, the shrill, domineering mother whose explosive arguments. She married Cy Seymour in the early 1950s, but the marriage ended in divorce, leaving her to raise 3 sons largely on her own while her career stalled. For years, opportunities were scarce, and success seemed permanently out of reach. Rather than resist the typecasting, Harris leaned into her voice, literally and figuratively. Estelle Harris died on April 2, 2022, at the age of 93 from natural causes. Jerry Stiller as Frank Costanza. Jerry Stiller, born on June 8, 1927, in Brooklyn, New York. He was in his early 60s when Seinfeld cast him as Frank Costanza. In the 1960s and 1970s, he found success alongside his wife Ann Mira as a comedy duo, becoming familiar faces on variety shows. Seinfeld changed everything. The role resurrected his career and led to renewed visibility in projects like Zoolander and later The King of Queens, where success finally felt stable rather than fleeting. Jerry Stiller died on May 11, 2020, at the age of 92 from natural causes. Heidi Swedberg as Susan Ross. Heidi Swedberg, born on March 3, 1966 in Honolulu, Hawaii, was 29 years old when Seinfeld introduced her as Susan Ross, George Costanza's fiancée, and one of the show's most polarizing figures. Audiences found Susan too normal, her restraint clashing with the show's abrasive tone. She left acting in 2010 to pursue her passion for music. By 2026, at 60 years old. Currently, she is a renowned musician and ukulele teacher, performing with the band Heidi Swedberg and the Suki Jump Band. Patrick Warburton as David Puddy. Patrick Warburton, born on November 14, 1964, in Paterson, New Jersey. He was 30 years old when Seinfeld introduced him in 1995 as David Puddy, Elaine's deadpan, emotionally vacant, on-again, off-again boyfriend whose blank stare became the joke. In the early 2000s, when complications from throat surgery left him with temporary vocal cord paralysis. For an actor whose identity depended on voice and cadence, the injury triggered a period of fear and uncertainty about whether his career could survive. By 2026, Patrick Warburton is 61 years old. Ruth Cohen as cashier. Ruth Cohen, born on January 28, 1930 in the Bronx, New York City. She was in her late 50s when Seinfeld premiered in 1989, quietly appearing as the cashier at Monk's Cafe, The Silent. As the series grew into a cultural monument, Cohen's role never expanded. She continued living privately, untouched by celebrity, even as the show she quietly anchored entered television history. Ruth Cohen died on August 23, 2008, at the age of 78 from a heart attack. Seinfeld was a show about nothing, yet the lives behind it carried everything: triumph, collapse, survival, and quiet disappearance. By 2026, some cast members became untouchable legends, others paid heavily for fame, and a few slipped through history almost unnoticed. If these journeys stayed with you, follow along as we continue uncovering what really happened after television's brightest laughter faded.